Yeah, so without wasting so much time again, I think we can start the business of today. Um, so I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Adebimpe Kalade. Actually, I work with Flexiserve Edusoft here in Abuja. Flexiserve is actually an educational technology company with over 10 years experience. I'm actually a product manager with Flexiserve, specifically focused on SAFLED, a teacher development application. So that's pretty much about me. So over to you, sir. Can we get to meet you briefly?
Okay, thank you very much, Kolade. I'm Henry Ogundolire. I'm a learning experience designer and developer, and pretty much I've done a little bit of work around learning system design and stuff like that. Anything that has to do with learning and especially e-learning design development. So that's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, thank you for that very wonderful introduction. Yeah, so the whole idea for today is about educators' resistance to change. I believe we've all been seeing that on our social media platform, and we've been waiting and waiting to hear and see what. As I was saying, we've been seeing it on our platform about educators' resistance to change. And that's what we want to discuss about today. Now, so let me just take us back to just a little while ago, say around February 2020, we experienced something that has never been experienced in the whole world before, and it's the whole COVID-19 pandemic, and it forced us, most of the people all over the world, countries like Brazil, United States of America, United Kingdom, our very own Africa, Nigeria, we had to shut down our schools. And I remember how parents were trying to make sure their kids were still learning, how schools were trying to come up with instances where they could still continue with teaching kids and what have you. But from the look of things, it's seeming that we're going back to status quo. People are not really. It's like everyone has forgotten about what COVID did to us, and you can see the last time I was in a school, the classroom was really in quote jam packed. There's so many people there, and the same thing that was happening pre-COVID-19 is happening. I wouldn't say we're in post-COVID-19, but since we're back in school, everyone has started their daily activities the way it used to be. And it's pretty much like we're going back to the status quo. So, is there a particular reason for that, Doctor? What's going on?
Yes, it's a little bit disappointing to see schools going back to the status quos, like that. It's very, very disappointing because it shows that we have not learned actually anything from the events that disrupted the entire universe. So there's so many reasons that could be responsible for this kind of situation that we're experiencing now. We first need to look at, there's so many things, but one of the few things that I've actually identified, I remember that at that time I was always saying that let our government keep doing something, let them come up with policies that will eventually help us to make use of what is happening now currently. But I don't think we will have any policies in place that will eventually enforce this change that has come into the scene of our world. So I think two basic things happen. Two basic things could be responsible for this thing. Number one is that the training. I'm very sure that there's this statement that used to come that says teachers teach the way they are taught and they teach the way they are trained. So if I'm not trained, for instance, if I'm not trained with phone, and if anything happens along the line and and eventually that thing goes off and I come back again, I will definitely go back to the way I was before. So training is key, and if that is not in place, developing the capacity of teachers, if that is not in place, definitely school will have to go back to the way they were even after the event. And of course, the next one, which is a little bit, this one goes down below
Final.
training, it's belief system. So two things: belief system and training. So we can expand that later on as we move on.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doctor. So from what you said, you mentioned government policies, you mentioned training, and you even mentioned belief system. I'd like us to quickly take a look at some of those factors you mentioned. When it comes to policies, I know that during the whole COVID-19 intervention process, in terms of digitizing learning, government came in with some policies as regards even stuff like radio jingles, teachers going on speech, and even state governments. Some of them even built application and all of that for teachers to have access and for students to have access. So are we saying that the policies were not there, or we don't have this culture of following through with our policy, and that has actually affected us in our educational system? Is that our challenge?
Yeah, I think the major problem we have, especially in this part of the world, is that we come up with policies, and once we come up with policies, we can even come up with products, roll out products. But when it comes to implementation, we failed in that aspect. We don't follow things through to the end of the whole thing like that. If you come up with an application and you expect schools to keep using some of these applications, and you don't go to that school, or you don't monitor the implementation of these policies that you have come up with, it will still not work. If it's just at that level and it stays there, it's going to stay there. It's not going to come down to the level of implementers if you are not carrying teachers along. In fact, when you are even developing the product, you're not carrying teachers along, you're not carrying the host committee along, you're not carrying the students that will eventually use the product along. They were not part of the process. So you just came up with it from somewhere, and it's okay, teachers, I want you to start using this, students, I want you to start using it, because you have not factored so many things into that policy. So if we don't do that, we'll still not have the expected results that we should have.
Okay, one last thing on that particular aspect. There's one thing about us in this country, and sometimes it is over dependence and over reliance on government. So, do you think private individuals, stakeholders who don't necessarily have to be in government, do you think they are doing quite enough when it comes to um, uh, making us be on par with people elsewhere from other spheres in the world, and what have you? So, not necessarily we focusing on government this time around, because if we continue saying government, we've seen it in all sectors, how it can go very, very bad. And education is critical. So are we saying, because I think that's the contention now, that government policies, are we saying that we are doing enough as individuals? We that don't primarily work with the government, schools, private organizations, people who are into corporate social responsibility, are we doing enough to even promote digitization of education?
Yeah, I think we're doing something, but I don't think it's enough. And the reason why I said it's not enough is because we don't have implementation policies that will eventually help individuals, either at micro, meso, or macro level, to also come in to help the government to implement some of these things. So we don't have regulations in place that will promote the contribution that will be coming from the private individuals, or that will be coming from individuals that want to be part of this digitization of content. So it still boils down to to the fact that if I want to come in to help a particular system, and the system is shocking me, the system is not encouraging me to do that, I won't come. So I will just try to do a little that I can do. I'll force myself to do a little I can do. Then I will leave the rest, because the system is not actually encouraging me to do that. So that's what is happening in our country actually.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that submission. So I would like to go over to another of our panelists. Christabel, nice to have you here.
The pleasure is mine.
Okay, all right. Are you joining us from the Federal Capital Territory?
Of course, I'm joining you from Abuja.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. So
Yes.
my question to you is in terms of Dr. Henry mentioned our belief system, the training for maybe for the teachers, and even policies that the government have actually put down, following up with the policies. So I'll just go through go over the last one with you, the belief system, in terms of mindset, because this is something that has been coming up, the teacher's mindset. Do you think
Okay.
do you think that the teachers have the mindset to propel the students to greater heights, to actually infuse technology into learning? So government can do their own, private individuals can do their own, stakeholders can do theirs, but the teachers, do we have teachers with the right mindset to actually infuse technology into learning, into education? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for this great opportunity. I would like to say that there are different types of teachers in every educational establishment. The teachers who are very progressive about what they do. You have teachers who are optimistic about what they do. You have teachers who are very skeptical and teachers who are very adverse to change of any kind. So yes, in establishments, you will find who have the right mindset and are ready to run with new educational reforms. In short, you have teachers who are looking for these reforms actually implement. We also have teachers who are willing to do it within their direct sphere of influence. But there are the adverse teachers. These two categories of teachers, you will find them in every educational system. These are the ones that usually resist change. So mindset, we have a handful of teachers who have the mindset. We also have a handful of teachers who do not have the mindset to promote change, either as a result of disappointment or just general hesitancy towards change. We have two categories of teachers in the educational system, and that is for a fact.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Christopher, for that solution. There's this popular speaker in the United States of America, Simon Sinek. He's always of the opinion that if you want to actually change the mindset of people in an organization, any profession, you focus on the people with the right mindset. Just like you said, we'll have the progressives and we'll have the ones who want to. So you probably need to now divide these people into different parts. The progressive focus on them, and if we have what's it called? If we have impact on those ones with the right mindset, then
Yes,
you
they
see the
might be
more
able to influence.
exactly and all. So what
Yeah.
are those strategies that we can put in place to ensure that we can even the ones with the right mindset? How can, because let's be sincere with ourselves. The ones with the right mindset, they are probably not even using the technological tools right. They are not really into this system and all of that. So how can we make it better for the ones with the right mindset before we even go to the ones with the not
One of
too.
the things I have always, one of the things I have had a problem with in recent times is the effective equipping of. I know that a few weeks back I asked myself, where are the teachers training institutes? And I am talking about places where teachers can go for proper equipping to acquire the skills that they need to be effective teachers within their classrooms. So we do have progressive and optimistic teachers who are very effective. The problem is the training, is how do they get properly equipped to be effective, because they have the right mindset, they are ready to do the work, they are willing to do the work, but equipping is where there are lapses. We usually receive brief trainings on educational reforms, brief conferences, but that's not enough equipping for what needs to be done. So I believe that there should be teaching institutes, and not necessarily set up by the government. But it is something that even indoors can think of doing, setting up teachers training institutes with regards to new educational forms so that teachers are properly equipped to do the work.
So your submission is quite very insightful. And one of those things I was...
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, Christabel.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of those things we're able to pick up.
Okay, I can hear you now. Okay.
Yeah, the fact that teachers are not actually equipped, the ones with the right mindset, there's inadequacy of proper training for them, and then most of the medical trainings they go for is always short. You know? So I would like to take this back
Yes.
to Dr. Henry, who is the learning experience expert. And doctor, you know that definitely learning is continuous. In fact, even the kind of learning that we've all been used to, we all pass through primary school, secondary school, and even university, and some of us actually went beyond that. So, in terms of proper training for teachers, proper continuous training for teachers, which is going to focus on things like technology, behavioral psychology, and emerging trends in education. What are those things that you would suggest or advise that we can do to make this thing better? What do you think that we can do?
Okay, thank you very much, Kaladi and Christabel. Thank you for that wonderful contribution. Yeah, I want to go back a little bit to their pre-training before they become, professional teachers. I want to go back to their training, before they eventually say, okay, let's go and teach in a school. So their pre-training is very key. While they are going through their training in school, all through the university level or polytechnic level or college of education level, as they're going through all of that, the curriculum should be updated. Because if while I'm receiving my training to become a teacher and I'm not trained with a mobile phone, you can't expect me to start using mobile phone when I go out. And so we must go back to their pre-training. That's the first key. That's the first thing. Then while we're training them, we must train teachers to be flexible, because we don't have to. Teachers are more like regimented soldiers. So because they said they want to follow the rule of engagement, they want to follow it through. They said this is the way we must do it. So we must begin to think the other way around to make teachers more flexible, teach flexibility in their pre-training. So after that, then when they are out and you have released them to the sites and they're not teaching in school, then you have to continually do in-service training, because that one must also keep ongoing, because technology is evolutionary, it keeps changing every time. And so we have to keep doing that. So two things I've said: we have to pay attention to the curriculum that train these teachers before sending them out to the site to teach. Then secondly, we have to continually train them even after they have been they have graduated from schools and they are now dispatched to school to teach.
Yeah, so I want to zoom in into that again, because it's still about the training. And Christopher mentioned something around the kinds of training. She mentioned teaching institutes in a country. And I don't know, I believe we have a couple of institutes out there. Do you think that we are doing enough in that respect, in that regard? In-service training for teachers, are we doing enough?
Yeah, I don't think we are doing enough. If we're not getting the result we're supposed to get, it means we're not doing enough. If educators are seeing resistance to change, it means we're not doing enough. If they're not using what they're supposed to be using, if they're not moving with the trend of things, it means we are not doing enough. So I think the major thing is that all the teacher training institutes, we have to probably reinvent their vision in a way, and they reinvent their vision. And once they reinvent their vision, then they start looking at, okay, how can we meet up with the trend of things? Because or we also have more more institutions that will also be established to handle some areas like that. Teacher training has so many parts, parts of skills, parts of changing their belief system, parts of let them give the classroom management, part of let them set their goals. So we could have more institutions that will handle these specific areas of teachers training.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much on that. I would like to go back to Christabel. In terms of, there's this, I don't know, we all know about the Maslow's hierarchical needs. And because I want us to actually look at the issue of resistance from another perspective. So one of the things this psychologist talked about was the fact that people have different needs at different stages of their life. You see some people, for example, they are the maybe top cadre, and they might not necessarily have issues that someone who is at the lower cadre is facing, maybe in terms of feeding, clothing, housing, and what have you. So do you think that one of those things that affect teachers will be probably poor remuneration, poor standard of living, and because of this, they are not even able to actually focus on what they're supposed to do. Because we have instances whereby teachers are paid peanuts. So we are saying that, can this also be a contributing factor? Because more likely, if I'm not being paid well for something like this, for what I do, then why would I even want to even change my mindset and start kind of bringing in new things and whatever? So in terms of the standard of living of the teachers, do you think that we are doing enough in this area? And can this potentially affect, can it affect how we react towards change in the educational sector for teachers this time around? Okay. Yeah, so I talked about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Individuals with different level of needs. Some people at the top, right there, they don't really have issues, challenges, eating. In fact, what they talk about is, oh, what is happening in Euros, what is happening in America in Euros 2020, football. They don't talk about food. While some people, their basic needs right now is clothing, is feeding, is housing. So in terms of for teachers, we hear about the fact that most teachers these days, they are paid peanuts. Teachers cannot even, their take-home salary cannot even take them home. So it's that bad sometimes. So are we saying that this has, or can we say that this also has potential of hindering their movement towards change? Can it actually bring about resistance towards change? Because if you're not paying me properly, probably I'll just say, what is in this whole thing for me? So what do you think is the situation of things when it comes to remuneration for teachers, standard of living for teachers? Is it good enough? Do we have quality in that line? And can it affect the change that we actually pray for?
Okay, so I'm going to speak based on my experience. I believe that the remuneration of a teacher depends on how much work he or she has put into the profession. I didn't start off really well. I started off earning peanuts. It was even difficult for me to earn my transportation, pay my transport to work with what I was earning. But I was committed to the profession. I've got what we call psychic rewards from the profession kept me on. I took on the teaching profession out of convenience. It wasn't out of any other reward or benefit, strictly out of convenience. And then started getting some kind of psychical reward from it, intellectual satisfaction, companionship at work, and all of that. That was why I stayed in the teaching profession. But I took the time to build myself and put myself out there, someone who is passionate about what I do, someone who is willing to improve myself, someone who is committed to the growth of my learners, and put myself out there as that, not as a show off, but as an authentic teacher my remuneration began to evolve. I think teachers can take responsibility for the evolution of their income if they do the work. And yes, I agree. The higher the reward you get, the more committed you are, the more invested you are. Right now, I think I'm earning quite well. And because I am earning quite well, I'm willing to go the extra mile in the hopes that I can earn some more. Do you understand? So I
Yeah,
just feel as if teachers can take responsibility for the evolution of their income. That's what I did, and I'm speaking from that perspective. And I know that when the reward is massive, we will do the work even more willingly. But at the start, you can't expect the reward to be your motivation. You have to find something else, some kind of satisfaction that will keep you going to the point where you can get the income you need and be further motivated. I think so.
yeah. Thank you, Christopher. Like the popular thing on Instagram, I probably request you do a big giveaway for us after the program. But that's quite interesting to hear. So it's obvious that it's still taking us back to the mindset. With the proper mindset, if you're willing to grow in the profession and what have you won't be stagnant. You will definitely kind of move along the line.
Yes.
That's really very wonderful. So now let us now go a little bit over to um, the people who are actually receiving this education, in the sense that
Okay.
let's talk about students, the pupils, the children, and their parents. So in terms of the adoption of new methods in in learning, do you think the parents, this is for Christabel, do you think the parents are doing quite enough to actually ensure that the kids are also adopting this technology? They are also participating, they are putting in their best to ensure that the whole thing works. Are parents doing enough?
I think parents are doing what they can do. Parents still need to be further informed and further equipped on how to help their children technologically. I see you're focusing on technology, but there are other forms beyond technology that the children need to be better equipped for the information era or for the eras ahead. Talk about learning intelligences. There are a variety of learning intelligences. There are a variety of learning styles. And then there is technology. There is learner engagement. Parents are not very equipped as to with information on all of these with regards to their children. You see a parent coming to class and saying, my dreams is for my child to be a medical doctor. But you as a teacher can see that this particular child may not be scientifically intelligent, but might be intelligent in something else. So, yes, parents need more information. Parents are very willing when it comes to receiving information that will help their learners. They are open to that. Do they have all that they need to help do they have all that they need to help their children? I will say no. They need to be informed on the different types of intelligence that children have. They need to be informed on the different types of learning styles. Let me make it a bit personal. My son did not fit into the usual type of learning style. My son was a verbal learner, very verbal, but teachers are aware that we have the kinetic, we have the visual, and then we have the auditory learners. So my son was operating in a very unique learning style. As a mother, I had to figure out why he was struggling for a while in school. And I discovered that, look, he thinks as he talks. He thinks, he's really expressive and he thinks as he speaks. So if the teacher can wield advantage, it might help him. If I can wield that to his advantage, I'm him. So parents need to be informed on more with regards to how they can help their children technologically, how they can help their children with respect to their intelligences, how they can channel and motivate their children's intelligences. So we don't them. I was prepared to be a medical doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a passionate teacher and I love what I do. But my parents groomed me to be a medical doctor and it just didn't work out. I am where I ought to be. This is my niche and I'm lucky to have found teaching. If we keep on pushing children in the direction that they are not built for, we may break them. We will have children dropping out of school, children cheating their way through schools, and so on and so forth. So are parents doing the best? They're doing what they can. They're doing what they're doing the best with the equipping that they have. They need further equipping to be able to do a lot better.
Yeah, that's pretty much, that's huge. And just like you said, it's really very important for parents to also be in this triangle. Yeah, the triangle that involves the kids, the parents, and the school. We just need to look for
Yeah.
ways to solve that. So, for Dr. Henry, on this note, I just wanted to get your view on this. We've been talking about the fourth industrial revolution, and one of those things that I've noticed that we as a nation, we as a people can actually use in fitting in is in terms of technology. We've seen Nigerian developers, software developers, comparing and working closely with people in some other part of Europe, in America, and what have you. So it's going on well. And there was this, I think, a couple of years ago, this the Academy of Engineering of thereabout, they called some top thinkers in the world. We called people like Larry Page and some other people, top guys in terms of science and engineering. They asked them to provide solutions to things that might happen in the next couple of years. And one of those things they talked about was emerging technology in education. So my question to you is this: what can we do to actually, outside all of this resistance and all of that, are we ready for emerging technologies in our own education in Nigeria? Are we ready?
That question is a little bit trickish, kind of. Emerging technologies, we don't know them yet. So since we don't know them yet, we have to train our teachers. We have to train ourselves to always, adapt. Even though we don't know those technologies yet, we have to train ourselves to always adapt, to be a little bit flexible, to move with the trend of things. So since we're not doing that, because that's one of the reasons why we have this resistance, since we're not doing that, I don't think we're ready yet, even though some teachers are probably ready because they have been taught to be adaptive like that. But, like when Christabel was speaking the other time, Mama was saying, Christabel is just like 1% of teachers out of, if you put it on the scale of 1 to 100. So maybe 1%, maybe one out of thousands of teachers that are outside there like that. So and maybe because of her training, maybe because of her background, she was able to, maneuver things and adapt to things. So I think we're not ready yet because of the kind of training that we are receiving, the kind of the kind of background that we have, and the way we're being trained, the way we're being taught. We're not actually ready for that because we don't even know those emerging technologies. So, like, I remember there was a time in UI where we're teaching 200 level students, and we told them by the time you get to 200 level, what you have learned in 200 level is already outdated. And so we are preparing them ahead to ensure that by the time they get to 300 level, they're not just like, oh, okay, they're still in 200 level. Things have moved like that. So we have to begin to, it still goes down to the issue of training. If you're going to be ready for emerging technologies, then we need to begin to train our teachers in this perspective, to be flexible and to be adaptive.
Yeah, so thank you very much. This has really been wonderful. So on the final note, Christabel, in 30 seconds, if you're going to talk to teachers about not being resistant to change, for them to move from that side to the positive side of change in education, what are you going to tell them briefly?
I would like to say that we are primarily teachers for the sake of our learners. It is responsibility to build learners to become societally relevant children. It is also our responsibility to build learners to be globally relevant. We may not have all the tech tools or all the knowledge necessary to be technologically inclined in owning, but what we can do, let us do. We can develop children to become 21st century learners, equipping them with skills like collaboration, communicative thinking, problem solving, and so on and so forth. What I would like to encourage all you teachers out there is what you can do, do. We can get children to operate. We can get children to communicate effectively. We can get children to think about things. I didn't learn all the ICT tools, but that to some extent, I am wielding some ICT tools with relative ease. It's because I am critically thinking and analyzing things to be able to do that. So let's do what we can. Let's equip ourselves to be better teachers so that we can equip these children. We are training them for the world that we know, and we are also training them for a world that we do not know. We don't know what the future holds. Yes, possibility of equipping learners to thrive in a world that we don't even know about. So we must be committed to researching. We must be committed to collaborating amongst ourselves, internally as a nation and internationally, so that we can keep upgrading pending when everything is a well-fitted puzzle for the educational system. Right now, I think it sits on the shoulders of individual teachers.
Yeah.
All of you out there and I, let's do the work as much as we can.
That's really, really, really impressive. That's wonderful. Thank you, Christabel. So, Dr. Henry, so on the final note, briefly, so what do you have to say to educational stakeholders, people, the decision makers in the educational industry, in ensuring that they equip teachers with the right tools for them to actually kind of move on with this development, continuous development? What's your take on this?
Thank you very much, Kolade. What I would say is that they should start small. They should not just jump to 100% one day. They should start small. They start at a margin stage where they are aware of what is happening in the environment. They should also be once that is taken care of, then they can move to the next stage, until they get to the goal they have set for themselves. So they should start small. They should not just jump. They should first start with having a goal, a clear goal, where they want to be in the next maybe 10 years or 20 years. Then they should start small and they should be progressive at that as they keep moving closer to their goal they have set. That's what I will advise that those people in that category should do.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Dr. Henry. Thank you so much, Christabel. It's been wonderful having you guys here. I believe your contribution from the professional perspective, from the fact that from the experience you've had over the years has really been wonderful, and to the people who actually joined, the teachers, the educators, and people who just want to be in the education industry who joined us for this live stream. It's been wonderful having you here. Like I said, FlexiServe is all about education, reinventing learning, and we have a product, Saflen, www.saflen.com, where we are trying to build courses that will be relevant to the professional development of teachers. So thank you very much for joining. Stay blessed. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.